All right, we are live. I've got about an hour and change, but I think that should be enough to explore the cloud. I go live on Amazon. All right, now we're live in both places. So I know there would be a lot of viewer interest in this, so I bought one. And we're going to test it out today. And hopefully we have enough time to go through it all. So this is marketed as a cloud gaming device. So although it is Android-based, at least that's what it looks like, it is designed for cloud gaming. And of course, Stadia is out the window. This was announced before Stadia's demise, so they took that off the marketing. But there's other uses, and I think there will be a number of them that we'll look at. So William Wilkinson is here, Joe Tyson is here, Zam is here. Oh man, we doing this? We sure are. Hey, Carol is here. I haven't seen you in a while. Thanks for stopping by. Tech Time with Eric is here. All right, listen to the background. Keep your eyes on the road. It's raining today. Matt K is here, and JJ Mart is here from Southern California, and we'll say hello to more folks as we work our way through here. So let's unbox. Ooh, it comes like right out at you here. So keep playing. There's nothing in that part of the box. And let's take it out. I think there's a plastic film on here. It looks like there might be. Yes. You wouldn't know it by looking at it, but there's a little film here. I love doing that. Oh, such a great thing. Okay, so we've got the handheld. And what I don't know, it's got a pretty big battery, a 6,000 milliamp hour battery. It is Android. What I don't know is what processor it has. So maybe somebody in the chat can look that up. And we got some more folks coming in. Reese Edwards is here. And Carol says, it's been a long time. Yeah, but you're here. You know, I started a little later than normal, so that's probably why I'm catching you, right? Because I think you're in Europe somewhere, I think. Weeb is here. DVD King is here. I am well, thank you. And Trap Exit is here too. All right, let's see what's in the box here. And Jorge Martinez is here on Amazon. Hi there. So we got a USB-C to USB-A cable. And like everything these days, like, you know, once they stopped including the power adapters on the phones, nobody else includes the power adapter anymore. So you got to charge it on your own. But you do get a sticker. Logitech G. The G is for gaming, and that's it. It feels like there's more in here. Let's see. Maybe there's something else in here? Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I take it back. There is a power adapter in the box. So they do include one. It's a, looks like a 12 watt one. 12 volts. Oh, okay, it's a little more powerful. So it's like a, you know, your standard USB fast charger. And oops. And Zane is here from South Africa. Welcome. And this has a Snapdragon 720G. And I did see the update for my phone, and I'm going to update it. I have not been impressed with the battery life on my iPhone 14 Pro. Is that what I have? It's been the same as it is on the other phone, so it wasn't any better or worse, but, you know, not any better. David is here. Howdy. So I'll do that update tonight. Remix is here, and Devoy is here. Hi there. All right, so let's boot it up. So, by the way, I don't think there's an SD card slot on here at all. There's another piece of plastic there. But it's got analog triggers, at least it feels like it does. Yeah, no SD card slot on this. So it's really geared as a cloud device, isn't it? And it's got like a slider switch here to turn it on. So we will fire it up. There we go. This is the cleanest the screen is ever going to look, but I do have whoosh. Yes, I have the power. Matt K also chiming in on the processor. So we've got a 720G, as Zane pointed out. It's got 64 gigs of storage, and we don't know what it has for available RAM. Maybe we'll install one of those things and figure it out. So the onboarding session here is very much Android, as you can see. And I'm just going to connect it to my Wi-Fi real quick. And I'm going to type in my password for my Wi-Fi. I have a feeling we're going to also be connecting to my Google account as we work our way through here. So it's getting our tablet ready. I'll turn the brightness up in a minute. It looks like it turned the brightness down. I'm not going to copy from another app or another device. So, I mean, this is like your run-of-the-mill, we've seen this with like the GPD stuff. The difference, though, is that this is a 1080p display. So I think that might work better for cloud gaming. Yeah, we could do that, couldn't we? That might be a fun thing to do on, on the video, stream from my Steam Deck. That's meta. John Mayberry is here. Michael Rees is here. Hello there. And Tech Time is happy with the iPhone 13 mini's battery life. Yeah, they got rid of the mini. And I just heard, I think Chris Allegretta, fan of the channel, was talking about on Twitter today about how he wants a smaller phone, which they stopped making. Yeah, I think this will do fine with everything, because generally my experience has been, let me just log into my test account here. My experience with xCloud in particular over Wi-Fi is very good because it doesn't require all that much bandwidth. The more challenging one has been GeForce Now, which works great when you have the bandwidth. It's beautiful. But you've got a lot of bandwidth requirements for that. But I think what I'm going to do is I may run the 3D Mark Wildlife benchmark on here because it's pretty quick and easy. All right, so this is getting my Google account info now. And my studio lights are impacting the brightness. It's turning itself down. Finn says it's got 4 gigs of RAM, multi-touch screen, 60 hertz. That's correct. And Carol's going to be a father next year, so less YouTube. Yes, although I think what you're going to deal with, like as I did when I had my kids, congratulations, by the way. When I had my kids, I actually had more time because I was up all night. So what I used to do with my youngest, it was funny, or my oldest daughter. My oldest would not, she'd wake up in the middle of the night like screaming, and she'd be fed, she'd be perfectly fine. Now for some reason we have a thing here from 10 Cent Games. They must have something pre-installed on here. Isn't 10 Cent like that Chinese company? Oh, you know what? I don't think this has a fingerprint reader on it either. But my oldest, when she was a baby, my wife would feed her, but then she wouldn't want to go back to sleep. And so she would only go to sleep if I picked her up and then walked around the house with her over and over again until she conked out. And to this day, like my daughter falls asleep faster when I'm near her than when I'm not. It's kind of funny how that plays out. So yeah, so I was up late at night with my headphones on watching YouTube, walking the daughter around or listening to YouTube. All right. So it's going through the rest of the setup thing here, and then we will jump into it. All right, so we have 2 options. We can run it in tablet mode or handheld mode. Gamers go here. So let's use it as prescribed, right, in handheld mode. So I'll hit that and go to next. And so this is like a custom launcher that they put together. Designed for cloud gaming. All right, so what do we have for options here? Local streaming works just as great. Connect to your PC. So I'll have to try this out later. Simple keys, simple control. The controls are simple. Press A to confirm and B to cancel. The simple home button can take you back to the desktop anytime to take a screenshot left and right at the same time. Want to learn more about the magic G button? Please press messages and okay, we'll get to that in a little bit. All right, so here you are. And front and center, we have Xbox Cloud Gaming and then GeForce Now. I have a full charge on it, by the way. The Xbox app, they've got Steam on here, so it looks like Steam Link is built in out of the gate. But yeah, you know, it's funny, they didn't put Stadia on here. I wonder if they had a heads up. Because this was manufactured before the announcement, right? Now, how do I adjust the brightness? Let's see, let's go to settings maybe. And let me go over to display. I just want to crank the brightness up a little bit. Oh, it's interesting. I have to use I'm going to turn off adaptive brightness. I'm just going to leave it bright here. So it looks pretty good so far. And what I want to do real quick is grab the wildlife test. So let's do that. And then I also need to ensure that, that was weird. I went into Google Play and then it like dumped me out. I wonder if it updated. Let's go to my apps here. Hang on. Is it me or does this thing like change all the time, the Google Play Store? Because I thought they had a thing where you could go to your apps, right? Because if I click on my account, oh, it's not even signed. That's weird because I signed in when I set it up. So let me sign in real quick here. Yeah, it's acting a little flaky, to be honest with you. And part of me wonders if it's still like, yeah. So now it's going back to the account sign-in thing here. All right, I'm missing a whole bunch of questions here. So I will get to these in a second. So my initial impressions, I saw a couple of comments on it. I like the size and I like the feel. It's not that heavy. It's actually got a good weight to it, but it's distributed. So you want to look for that. It feels like a bulk of the weight is in the middle, so your hands support that weight in the middle. So if you held it with one hand, you could definitely feel how heavy it is. And my understanding is it's got a big battery, like a 6,000 milliamp hour battery in here, so that it feels like that battery is in the middle, because that's where it feels like where all the weight is focused. The analog sticks feel really nice. Like I said, it's kind of stuck in limbo here right now, so we'll see. I think it's like updating. The D-pad, you know, I'll have to see how the games play on it. I'm not all that crazy about it yet without playing any games. I don't get a lot of feeling to it, if that makes sense. It kind of rocks. But we'll have to see how it plays when we're in the game. I like the triggers, though. I think they're in a good position here. And this is an analog trigger. So that feels pretty nice. Ooh, Wi-Fi. I will find out. So I have, and Red Hornet is joining us on Amazon. So I have my Unify app on my phone. I can see exactly what it's connecting to. So let me go over to my U6 Lite here. And let's look at our client list. All right, Android device, which is this one. Interesting, this does not appear to support Wi-Fi 6. So I'm connected to my Wi-Fi 6 access point, but it's Wi-Fi, AC Wi-Fi. So we'll let it sit here and kind of figure out what it wants to do. I would imagine it will run PUBG because it does support the Google Play Store, but we'll take a look and see what it's able to do. I just don't know what's going on with it right now. It's like stuck in this limbo thing, checking info. And Zweihander, I hope I got that pronunciation correct, Fantasy Horror RPG has been using the Cloud G for about a week. What do you think of it? Yeah, I would have had this sooner, except they shipped it via FedEx Home, and my mailbox is at a commercial location that was closed all weekend, so I would have had it on Saturday if I had sent it to my house. Yeah, I'm like stuck in limbo here. All right. Oh, now it's logged in. That's weird. Okay, so let's go in and look at Manage Apps and Device. All right, so I've got 45 gigs of free space on it. And I think he has a whole bunch of updates. So we got to get through all these updates first. Ugh. So let's just update everything. How do we do that? Yeah, it's funny when you have it in this launcher mode, it doesn't give you the same view of everything as you would on something else. I wonder if I could switch it to a different mode here. So like even for like navigating, well, that worked. There's no camera on this either. So it's got an album, it's got messages. So you have to like hit things twice for it to pop in. I wonder if I can switch it back to tablet mode. There's a system update also, so let's do that. And it's interesting, it has automatic updates off by default. So let's get it all up to date. This is kind of par for the course on our live streams. So it does not have a cellular modem built in. It's Wi-Fi only, so you'd have to tether it to your phone. Yeah, Wi-Fi AC. So, and that, honestly, I think for most cloud gaming, that's going to be fine. The one thing that Wi-Fi 6 would get you is a little better in a busier household. So Wi-Fi 6 has greater capacity for multiple people hitting the Wi-Fi at once. So it probably would have been a nice thing to have it on this thing, especially given its price. And I'm just getting my cheat sheet put together here. And I got this for the $349 price. Somebody was asking what I paid for it. Zane was asking. Yeah, so I guess it was $299 somewhere, but not where I was looking. But generally, it would require that you have some kind of network connection for the cloud stuff. Although, it doesn't have an SD card either. But it does run Android stuff, so presumably you could install some of the emulators and stuff on there. So we'll get it all up to date. And I don't know if it requires an update, but I always like to, before I review something, get all the updates installed, especially when it's new like this. So a lot of times they manufacture everything, they lock it in hardware-wise, and then they push a software update out right when it comes out. So we will run through the update here. I'm not sure how much we're going to get to today, but we'll at least get some cloud gaming going. And we'll look at, in the review, Steam Link. We're going to do GeForce Now. Yeah, I should try to stream from my Steam Deck. What the heck? I just like the ridiculousness of that. Xbox Cloud Gaming, Steam Link for local stuff. And let me do one other thing here. So this is the Logitech G Cloud Gaming Handheld. And I got to put the specs in that somebody was kind enough to post earlier. He'll let the kids play with it for a week and see what happens. And Zweihander uses Moonlight, which is a great app that allows you to connect to your NVIDIA gaming PC. And Moonlight's awesome. Yeah, it's big, but it's not much bigger than actually it's about the same size, if not a little smaller than a Nintendo Switch, and certainly smaller than the Steam Deck, right? But it's got a nice design. Logitech knows how to make nice peripherals, so I think the industrial design is there. It's not metal or anything, it's all plastic. DP, thank you very much for the kind words and the super chat. Much appreciated. Red Hornet wants to know, that's a good question, does it have video out? We will test that later. It does have a USB-C port here at the bottom, and it has a headphone jack as well, a real one, so that's good. But that is it for I/O. I guess you could plug in like a USB stick if you wanted to do emulation on it or something, right? Will I get the Meta Quest? I will not be getting the Meta Quest Pro. The reason is that I don't think it's going to do very well as a review. So I would probably get whatever is the next consumer-oriented one. If they had a Quest 3, for example, I would probably get that. Just because I've never seen a lot of interest in VR on my channel. Those AR glasses we looked at from Nreal a few weeks ago, those did okay, but you know what the appeal is for those glasses is not the augmented reality, it's the portable screen concept, right? That's what they seem to like best with that. All right, we're going to prepare for the updates. Does it support Luna? I would imagine it does. If they have an Android client, it should work here, but I will add that to the list because I get that as part of my Amazon subscription. What was interesting is that I did not see Luna on the list of pre-installed applications, but let's see what happens when we do the update. I was fully expecting to see Stadia there, but it looks like they were able to get that knocked off before, before it shipped. But let's see what happens here. I found that the cloud gaming services that are surviving are the ones that are a nice supplement, right? So if you look at GeForce Now and if you look at Microsoft's offering, the Xbox Cloud Gaming, that there's a there's a synergy of, okay, and actually to the point that one of you was making earlier, was Swyhander was pointing out, right, as a supplement. So in this case, your use case is supplementing your desktop experience, right? So you can connect to your desktop PC and have more portability. And the battery life would be better on this than the Steam Deck. So for example, I've been playing a lot of No Man's Sky lately because I get back into that game every once in a while. And I've been playing it on the Steam Deck, but you only get like an hour and a half or so out of it, which for me is fine because my kids are always bugging me for something by that length of time. But I was playing most of the weekend, just kind of chilling out a little bit this weekend. Yeah, we're just waiting for the update to finish. But it feels nice. I like the way it feels. As an Android handheld, it's decent. What I would have preferred to see, though, is an SD card slot, because that immediately limits what you can do with it. 64 gigabytes is decent from a space standpoint, but if you're doing a lot of emulation and stuff, and perhaps that was a purposeful omission. They didn't want this thing to be known as an emulation device. But yes, it is a Android device. And AC Wi-Fi only. Now, Matt K says, oddly enough, it says SD card slot. I don't know. I don't see one, unless it's like hiding under something. Yeah, we'll test some Android games on it too, so I will add that also to my list of things. I'm not sure how much we're going to get to today, but we are going to wait for this update to finish, if it ever does. And what I am going to do, just to keep the battery topped off, the battery's charged fully, but we'll plug this in and see. But yeah, I don't see an SD card slot anywhere, unless there's something that slides out. But I read somewhere that it doesn't have an SD card. Oh, wait a minute. Hang on. Oh, yeah. Look at that. See, this is why I do these things live, so I can look like an idiot for not doing my homework. There it is. So it's got an SD card slot. So I stand corrected right there. So there we go. We will add that. I think it's a custom launcher, so you'll see it pop back up here in a second when it comes back up. And I'm a little behind on my questions here. Let's see. I didn't realize Dead Cells is on this. And no, it is a rocker D-pad, so you can't press left and right at the same time. Video in, maybe through the USB-C. Yeah, we can still do Stadia. That might be fun just to do, right? Like, let's mourn its loss. I have one game on Stadia, apparently. I didn't realize I did. And I will test this later. We'll find out. And Recipe Bob is here. And Travis is excited for our review here. And we found, we did find it there. It looks like Doomed somehow found that on there. Yes, anything that runs on Android should work on here. So I had a question on Amazon about press any key. All right, I'm pressing any key. Okay, so it's been a little flaky. Okay, so I have to put my PIN number in. There's no fingerprint reader on this, by the way. So you got to type your PIN code in every time you lock it. All right, there it goes. See, it's been a little flaky initially here. And I'm not sure if it's just updating or what. But we do have an SD card slot, so that's good for the emulator crowd. Okay, so let's go over to Google Play again. And I have a ton of updates of apps that we have to let finish updating here. So if I go to Manage, let's see. Yeah, there's still a bunch that have to get updated. So I'd rather just update everything and get it over with. How do I select all on this screen now? Let's do it manually, I guess, huh? Oops. There we go. What did that do? I updated them. Okay, so let's do more of these things. It does conveniently slide conveniently slide the screen down for me. But the way I look at it is, let's just get the thing totally up to date, and then we can actually run some stuff on it, because if it's running updates in the background, that's going to impact its performance. So let's just get it all done. I would say it's pretty close in size to the Switch, and the difference is that it has a higher resolution display. So this is 1080p versus 720p. And yeah, you can choose between the tablet mode or the custom launcher. But I'm going to run with the custom launcher for now because that's kind of the intended use case. And thank you for the kind words, Matt K. I don't know if you can live stream with it directly. I think a lot of the services you would connect to with it would do that. I think the Qualcomm Snapdragons can do some degree of video encoding, but. And Microbiter says no video out on this. James Stroud agrees we should have Wi-Fi 6 on this. Yeah, I think it would do better from a live streaming thing. So I missed that. So it's my icon up to the right. Let's go up there. Let's try that again. So do I have to pull this down? So Play Store, your picture on the right, updates. I don't see updates on here. So I'm on the Play Store. We're on the home screen. My picture to the right. Manage apps and devices. That's why usually I look for that, but I didn't see that. Usually I see like my apps or something. But let's let the apps finish updating here, and then we can get to. Oh, there it's going. Okay, so maybe that was the screen I was looking for. And I hate when it says pending, because it's like pending for what, right? Even GeForce Now is getting an update, which is one of the key apps that it has installed initially. All right, so now it's starting to process everything. And Gigi says, yeah, that's pretty much what this is. But we haven't seen, from a major manufacturer, we haven't seen one of these devices like this. Now, we've seen a lot from companies like GPD. That's definitely one that we've seen. So, they've existed, but we haven't seen like a major manufacturer that has some marketing muscle. So I think that's kind of the intent maybe that Logitech is looking at here. Like, is there enough of a market for game streaming? And it's interesting to see them kind of pushing that as the use case to the point where even though this is a full-on Android handheld with the Google Play Store, let me go pull up their website. Actually, just go to the link in the Amazon thing. Let me go do that real quick. Because it's kind of more than that, but this is what they are kind of going from here. So it's called the Logitech G Cloud. First item on their marketing page, cloud gaming, remote play, play in more places, comfortably play all day, 12+ hour battery life. That's a good selling point because if you look at the Steam Deck, you get maybe an hour or two, if that, right? Precision controls, there's levels to play. But I don't see them talking about the Android functionality. And it may be because the market for Android tablets is not quite there, right? So we're almost done with these updates, and then we'll run a benchmark, see what it's capable of doing. It's actually got a pretty decent processor on it, a Snapdragon. And I'm just going to go and type in some data into my spreadsheet here. And the lens in which I will be talking about this is as a fan of game streaming. So I do game stream quite a bit. Although I've been doing less of it with the Steam Deck, because now the Steam Deck can run it all locally and quickly. But I've got my Unify access points all over the house, right? So I don't have any networking issues. And I don't have a lot of competition on my local network because I pushed everybody onto the 2.4 gigahertz so I get the faster speed. All right, so this is a Qualcomm Snapdragon 720G. It's got 64 gigabytes of storage, but about 45 gigs free, plus SD card. (1080p), 450 nits actually. That's pretty bright. So bear with me here, folks. I'm just going in and typing out the specs here as it's updating. This is one of the challenges when we do a live unboxing, is that you have to put up with all this stuff. Red Hornet says maybe using as a screen sharing app into vMix. Yes, so I don't think there's a, it's interesting, a lot of you are asking the question about having this act as a game streaming, as a streaming out device, as a video encoding device. I don't think it's going to be well suited for that. You know, the Snapdragon's pretty powerful, but it's not, you know, it's not all that. I'm just looking through the rest of the thing. It has a haptic motor in it. AC Wi-Fi only, 2x2. That's really, from a specification standpoint, my only knock against it. Has Android 11, not 12. And the big question is, how long will it be supported for? I'm just looking through the list of they never talk about how long they're going to support it for, right? Okay, almost there. We got 7 more to go. Will a dock work? Yeah, so Red Hornet wants to know about Ethernet. So yeah, you could connect, this is an OTG port here, so it'll work with data devices. So Ethernet you could plug in that way, sure. But it's got a big battery, so I think you're going to get a good amount of battery life out of this. Because if you think about it, you know, the processing load on a cloud gaming app is far less than it would be for a game running natively on its Android backend, right? So, you know, really in the grand scheme of things, cloud gaming is a lot like watching video. And no mention of Stadia anywhere. Is it pricey? Yes, I think it is pretty pricey for what it is. I do. And I think Microbiter puts it well here. Is, you know, this is kind of a test of the market. Is there a market for something like this, right? And I think the success of the Steam Deck has people looking at things like this as an alternative, right? So you can't get a Steam Deck quickly, right? You can get this right now. It costs a little bit less. And if you were mostly gaming in the home, given the battery limitations of the Steam Deck, then maybe this has some value there. All right, let me just do one thing, because now our apps are up to date here. I just want to run a quick benchmark on this. So we're going to do the 3D Mark benchmark. And this will give us a good sense as to what can run on the Android side. I don't know how much RAM it has, so we'll need to look at that in a minute too. Yeah, I think this would work well on the emulation side. And it's unusual because a lot of times when you see an Android device like this, it's usually by one of, you know, a specialty manufacturer that doesn't have as much of a footprint domestically. So here's something interesting. This app just kind of defaulted into portrait mode here. And I don't think I can, yeah. All right, we'll just download the wildlife test here. We'll start it off and see how it goes. But it definitely just kind of flipped itself around. Hi, perfect description. Portable Ouya, definitely. That's exactly it. Except it has access to the Google Play Store. But I think if Ouya stuck around, this would have been it. And I got an Amazon link in the description, $349. So this is pretty pricey. Yeah, so this is exactly what I'm talking about in the marketing, right? Like they've marketed this almost exclusively as a cloud streaming device, but the Google Play Store is the first thing you see when you plug it in. Yeah, no video out. And I would guess the reason why it doesn't do video out is because of the fact that I think it's designed, I guess their thought would be, and by the way, it's rare that we see an Android device with USB-C video out. I would guess that their thought process was, well, if you're going to play on the TV, you may as well just sit in front of the TV that you're streaming from, right? So, all right, so this is the wildlife benchmark, and usually I run the other one. Actually, let me cancel this real quick. Because usually what I do is run the unlimited test. If I have the option to do that. No. Let's try this again. Yeah, this is the one. So we do unlimited. Although I wasn't impressed with what I just saw. Because like even on a low-end iPhone, you get at least 30 frames per second out of this. But oh, this is a good question, a good comment from Roman. I think this is their first Android device, because they don't typically make a computer device, do they? They make accessories. Ronald is here. Maybe that's the Tencent connection. Maybe Tencent and their Chinese connections could get the Android hardware underneath working. And Microbyter believes, yeah, I would bet you that's probably what they've got for RAM on here. And you know, you're the second person that's popped in that said they liked it. So I think they're correct in how they're addressing this, which is that there's probably a greater market for people that want to stream games versus buying a gaming-centric Android device. And if you're a savvy consumer, you see the game streaming and say, does it do Android? And the answer, of course, is yes. And I think it's no accident that they have imagery of the Google Play Store in the marketing so that you can see this as a potential for that, right? Yeah, I have a feeling that the way this worked out is Tencent probably made the Android system underneath, and Logitech made the controller, because they do have a very good track record with this kind of stuff. So this is an interesting comment here that it's only, all right, so we'll test it out to see, we'll plug in a USB stick and see if it picks it up. Lord knows I got plenty of those kicking around here. What don't I have on this desk right now? You know what I did over the weekend, everybody? So you remember that, that NAS device, the network attached storage device that claimed to be fireproof? We burned one. I got my local fire department invited me over. We put it into their burn room at their training center, and we burned that sucker 3 times and then put the fire out with the hoses. They did it. I didn't do it. And you'll see the results on Wednesday. So that was fun. So that was a fun little excursion for Jake and I on Sunday. And Jake is editing it now. We got lots of B-roll. But the fire was we got the fire up there pretty hot. And I learned a lot about fire too, because it's not as straightforward as you think it might be. In the sense that when you burn something, obviously the things that are burning have an impact on that. So, for example, in their training that they were doing, they were only burning wood in class 1 accelerants. So the temperature could not get too hot. So what we did, so this thing is rated for like 1,500 degrees at 30 minutes, and we could not get to that level of temperature. So we burned it for an hour off and on with different, moving it around the room there. So I think it'll be pretty good. Hey, where's my moderators? Those spammers really love me. So we did a Android update before we started running the benchmark here. This benchmark is running glacially slow. This should have been done by now. And this is not the extreme test either. So I have a feeling this is going to be scoring on the lower end of our performance benchmarks here. And you know what? I wonder if they looked at, so remember NVIDIA used to have a Shield portable. It was based on their Tegra chip. And it was kind of neat because it had like a full-on controller with a screen attached to the top of it. And then they made the deal with Nintendo, and that's kind of how the Switch came into being. So we never saw a more powerful Shield tablet or Shield handheld. I had the Shield tablet, which had the K1 processor, which is probably, as you'll see in a minute, going to be faster than this thing. I still have it over there, actually. How would I compare? This is a good question, too. You know, I'll tell you what. I have the Backbone 1, and I love it. I think it's a great controller. The problem is it ties up my phone, right? So I feel like when my phone's in there, it's like captured, and you can't, you know what I mean? Like things will come in or whatever. So I kind of like the idea of a dedicated streaming device that kind of does its own thing and sits in its own space. All right, so we're going to look at my benchmark here. If you go to Lon.TV/benchmarks, you can see the 3D Mark Wildlife tab at the bottom, which is where I'm focusing in on right here. And this will give us a good idea of its general performance. And actually, if the Google Pixel 4a and the Pixel 5 have a similar processor, and it comes in right around what those came in at. So it's not a terribly fast device from a GPU standpoint. It's at the lower end of the spectrum. And I'll give you a comparative here in a second. So Logitech G handheld. And this is running with the Snapdragon 720G. Roger P is here. Hello there on Amazon. And we got a score of 1,049. I haven't run the second test yet, but I will in a little while. 6.3 frames per second. And I have a feeling we're going to come in, you know, around where I expect it to come in. So performance-wise, this thing is not, you know, it's not going to run GameCube games, for example, on the emulation side. It's nowhere near where, you know, your NVIDIA stuff would have been. But we have other things to try. So let's jump into, let's do GeForce Now first, and then we'll do the other stuff. Now this is interesting. It's actually asking me to close the app. It's not putting it into the background. And Roger P makes a good point. He says the price point of this is the same as, or is more than the Xbox Series S, and you are correct in that assessment. Although I would imagine people would come back and say, but the Xbox Series S is not handheld. All right, I just logged in with the wrong account. Hang on a second. So we'll go NVIDIA. I've got like a long process in which I have to log into my NVIDIA account here. Add another account. So I have it tied to one of my other devices here. And Custardo says, yeah, I think from a performance standpoint, it's not going to be all that great. Yep, and I would agree with Microbiter there. Yeah, I'll try out a few of the emulators on it in the review. And unfortunately, I don't have a PS5, so I will not be able to do that. Yeah, and I think that's probably impacting the price here. It is a bit on the, again, I think this really should have been $150, to be honest with you, if they wanted it to be successful, because it just seems like a lot. Although I could see kids asking for this for Christmas or whatever, because they're established in their gaming environments, and they want to go handheld. If they've got an Xbox, and you think about all the different costs that come into this, but if you have the Xbox Game Pass thing already, I think it could be compelling, to be honest with you. And we'll try it out in a minute, too. I just got to log into my gazillion accounts here. I'm just typing in my password, and then I've got to do my two-factor. Wait for that to come up. And we'll do that. And we'll say it's me. I got to type in this number. All right, and then that's step one of my NVIDIA login. And then I've got another two-factor for the NVIDIA account itself. See, here's my thing. I like to practice what I preach, but sometimes the two-factor can be a little bit inconvenient. All right, so now I got to go get my NVIDIA number here. All right, so we'll type that in. But the screen looks very nice on this, and it feels very responsive from a touch standpoint. All right, we're almost there. Logging in. All right, we're logged in. And I also think that the contrast ratio on the display looks very nice too, although it's starting to pick up my fingerprints. Yeah, I think if you're happy with the backbone, this is not going to give you anything additional. I would totally agree with that, because it is expensive. And I think that's, a lot of times price can kill you, and I think that's what's going to happen here with this one, unfortunately. All right, so I'm in my GeForce Now account. Where's my usual games here? You know what I'm going to play? Yep. And I'll probably capture some B-roll here just to save time on the review later. I'm going to go wireless. Why not? So 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi. That is probably going to limit my bit rate, but I'm right under the access point here, and it's not giving me a full signal, and I know I'm connected to that one too. And Roman says, reminds me of the LG phones, which always look good, but when you actually use the software. Yeah, we'll have to see how this one holds up here. And Spacebug in 19... I love your creative usernames. I always think of you as Meatface, though. He's on Amazon here. But yeah, you can save a lot of bandwidth, for sure. And it's asking, oh, it wants to record audio because GeForce Now works with the microphone. But I'm hitting allow. It doesn't seem to be acknowledging that. There it goes. I'm assuming that it allowed it. The speakers actually sound pretty good on this thing. All right, so we're going to go into my game here. By the way, I absolutely love this. I love this game from the moment it came out, but like I took a break for a year or so, and they just came up with a new update. And the new update obviously coincides with their Switch release. But of course, you're going to get much better graphics on the streaming side. Now, right now, we're streaming this from GeForce Now. GeForce Now, I would say, has the best, absolute best image quality out of all the streaming services. It looks spectacular. I've been playing a lot of this game at night on my TV in the bedroom through my NVIDIA Shield. And it'll deliver 4K over Ethernet. It's pretty crazy. But yeah, it looks pretty good. Now, I think I should be able to, let's see if I can get if it gives me some stats here. Network warnings are enabled. I'm not seeing an option for, and this actually runs through my Steam account. And that's what's cool about this, is that, it looks great though, doesn't it? It runs through my Steam account, so it syncs up. So when I go back to my PC or go to the Steam Deck, whatever I do during this stream is going to be there. So you all want to see my base? We can go to my base if you want. I'll show you my starship here first too. I just picked up a new fighter, which I'm in the process of repairing. Let's go over to the other side here. I don't remember where I parked. All right, here it is. So this is my little, that's my big fighter. This one needs some repair, so I have some work to do on it. But this one is a little more beefy. And I got my little one over here. This one is pretty decked out, kind of at the max of its capacity here. But the sound is actually good on this thing. I really am pleased with the audio quality. I've been playing a lot of this on my Steam Deck, but I can get better graphics settings here because this is like a 3080 in the cloud that I've got on this thing. And I'll try to answer your questions as we go here. And actually what I need to do, let me go to the space station. I want to show you my base. So let me go to the space station. So this over here, all that noise is all these alien spaceships coming into the sector. Most of the time they're friendly because I haven't done much to upset them. But this is my capital ship here. And then all of these other ships are my support frigates. So I've got 2 combat support frigates, 2 trade frigates, and a fueling vessel. And I can send them out on missions. But if I get attacked right now, my combat ships come in and help me. And then I've got these big guns on the... Isn't that awesome? I just love this. Like, you build up your own fleet, your own bases. I just can't get enough of it. This is like the game I always wanted as a kid. It's just like, there's no... You can play the missions and stuff, but you can also just kind of build, right? And here's the kicker. Everything that you see, if you have a VR helmet like I do, you can just jump in and play the game in VR, the full thing. And it's freaking awesome. Like, it's gotten, you have to have a lot of hardware for it. And you'll see what I mean in a minute. So we're going to go down to my base that is on a planet called Lonville. And I haven't jumped into the VR on it recently because I just built out a whole bunch of stuff. I can't wait to try it out in VR. It's going to look awesome. But the scale of everything is immense. And again, you really need a really beefy GPU and a computer. But man, it's amazing. Like, you think about the metaverse, all that garbage that they keep talking about. They should make No Man's Sky the metaverse, and I think everyone would be in on it. All right, so let's go to my base here real quick. But right now we're streaming a game. This is coming in off of my Wi-Fi. And I can give you a sense as to, I'll show you my mining colony in a minute too. So let that go. It's not getting hot. Someone was asking. Gustars, it's a pitiful fleet. Yeah, well, let me see your fleet. I'm still building it up. So I've got about 52 million credits. I've gotten my cash flow going pretty good now. They nerfed the activated indium mine, so you don't get as much money per harvesting as you used to, but I'm working on fixing that. All right, so here's my, my base. The base looks kind of crappy, so forgive this at the moment, but we're getting there. As you can see, I'm digging out some things here. My thought initially was to build a tower, which I'm working on. And so right now it's kind of an open air base, but what I've been spending more time on lately is something I'll show you over here. These are all my employees in here. So I have people that work for me. Well, actually, they're aliens. I have this guy and this guy. This is my newest hire, this weapons guy. And then, and look at this. I did this awesome. So that's part 1 of the base. And here is part 2, which is still under construction. But they have this entire like underwater mechanism. So like, look at this. I got an underwater base. So I built this long tube. Now I'm going to continually build this out, but I have this huge lake. And this is my underwater base. So I'll jump in here. And just imagine this in VR. Like everything you've been seeing so far, imagine it in VR. Because that's what you can do. You can jump in anytime. You just boot up your VR PC. And you can play this in virtual reality. And everything is exactly the same, except you have a bigger scale. So check this out. So I built this tube underwater. Isn't that cool? But I don't die under here because I'm under the water, or in a pressurized thing. So my goal is to build this out to land so you can get to the water base without having to jump in the water. So I still have more work to do. I've got to harvest more materials. I'm not playing in creative mode. I'm playing in the standard mode where you have to like mine everything. So this game is kind of like a combination of like Minecraft, survival games, because there's actually a permadeath survival mode. they integrated a lot of popular concepts into this. And then, of course, it's this enormous universe. So most of the planets that you visit have never been seen before or discovered before. So Lonville, I was the first person out of anyone playing No Man's Sky to find this planet, and that's the case for most of them. And as Custardo says here, No Man's Sky is the perfect game to unwind. Absolutely. Yeah, to some degree, it's like Space Minecraft, except there's something, I think for any space game fan, there's something for everyone here. And what's amazing is they've added so much depth to it. And what's funny, or it's even cooler, is that you could be playing, and if somebody happened to be in my sector where I am right now, I would see them. It's very rare that you encounter anybody. But initially, the game wouldn't do that, but now it does. So here, we're going to go to my other. So this is like, and by the way, this is the planet I started on, or this was in the system that I started on. So it's very rare that you find a planet this nice. This is like an Earth-like planet. It's really nice. If anybody wants the coordinates, I think I can provide those for you. So let's go into here. This actually is streaming really well, by the way, which is kind of the purpose of today's stream, is to do that. I think I can tell you my coordinates here. Let's see. This is Lonville. Where do I get the coordinates for where I am currently located? Maybe not. Jorge Martinez wants to know, what is NMS? This is No Man's Sky. That's the game we're playing. And this is playing through GeForce Now on my Steam account. Now, here's my other base. This base is called Show Me the Money. Show Me the Money. And we're going to warp to that base right now. And I'll show you why I call it Show Me the Money. Problem is, it's a very dangerous place to be. Yeah, they have Stargates, which is awesome. So but in the initial release of the game, they didn't. In fact, you couldn't even build a base in the initial game. So these Stargates, you can always get back to your base, even if you are in a different universe. And there are actually multiple universes. So this base is my mining base, but it is very hazardous here. So you can see it's extreme radiation, and this is not with a storm. So I can't stay outside for very long because you can die of radiation poisoning. But I've built this incredible mining operation that's solar powered. The sun never sets on this planet, so I can let it run all the time. And these are my mining harvesters, and they are currently mining activated indium, which is the most valuable commodity in the game. And then I have a bunch of these tanks that I built. This is what I do to unwind at night, is play this game. So these are storage tanks for what it's harvesting. So whenever I pop back into the game, I can harvest it. So I have 17,500 units of activated indium here. Now, in the older releases of the game, this would have been worth a lot. But in this game, this version, they've nerfed it considerably. But yeah, I'm having fun. I think it's working as advertised. And I've been playing this a lot on my Steam Deck, so I'm going to play this tonight instead of my Steam Deck and see how it does. And of course, you can also I can also stream this from my gaming PC in the house locally if you don't want to have a Steam account. So you saw what I just did there? I just jumped into the spaceship, right? So I can land it anywhere. And this is a whole big planet. So I could come over here and just land it right here. I can hop out. I can jump in the water if I want, right? I have my mining laser here, so I can, for example, if I want to capture some resources, I can go and mine one of these things. And I need some pure ferrite anyhow, so I'll grab some of that. Although I don't spend a lot of time on the surface on this planet because it is very toxic. Then I can hop in my spaceship, and then we can go into space, and see those planets up there? I can go to them. So let's go to this one up here, this big one. Have I been to this one yet? I think I have. This is a frozen planet. There's lots of good stuff on here. So it'll take us about 22 seconds to arrive on this planet. And you know what? I haven't felt the rumble yet on GeForce Now. Maybe I wasn't paying attention. Let me see. I did feel it before when I was interacting with the keyboard. All right, so now we've reached that planet, and now we're going to land. And on these frozen planets, I found there's a lot of like alien artifacts and infrastructure that you can visit. And I've been on this planet before, but we'll come down and set her down right over here by this lake bed. And these planets are all procedurally generated. There are, I think, trillions of them. So no two planets are alike. They do have a lot of commonality. So like the winter planets look the same across the board. But as the game has been updated and developed, the diversity of the planets has been pretty... So there we go. We set down, and now I'm on a different planet. This one's cold. The other one was radioactive. And there's creatures all dynamically created here. Isn't this awesome? And you can build a base anywhere. And again, just picture this in VR, and it's exactly what you think it is. It's just amazing. So here's some carbon. This is condensed carbon, a little better than the run-of-the-mill carbon out there, right? And I have a weapon here. So I have this is my mining thing. So you can actually dig into the ground. And you also have a gun here. So I could throw a grenade, and they have different grenades you can purchase and stuff. So yeah, good stuff. But again, just imagine all of this in VR, and everything you do in the game is in VR, on the VR version. It's freaking amazing. So, and there is combat, yes. You run into it every once in a while. Actually, I could probably create an environment for combat if, let's see, I don't know if there's any sentinels on this planet. So right now we're getting hit with a storm. This sector is a blue star sector, and the blue stars have like the most awful planets to visit because like they're the most uninhabitable or the most dangerous to visit. And Jorge wants to know, any option to warp to plaid? No, they didn't quite put the plaid in, did they? But you get the idea. But yeah, there is combat though. So I'll take off here to show you my ship's weapons here. We'll jump into space real quick. But if there's a planet with a lot of sentinel activity, and the sentinels are these like cross-dimensional machines that enforce the rules of the universe, and so you often find yourself in battles with them. And sometimes if you stick around long enough, the pirates come and find you. You can take them out. And this is an asteroid field, and I can just start shooting my ship's weapons here. I love the sound effects. Isn't that an awesome like space laser? And so when you destroy the asteroids, you get materials from them. And so a lot of the fuel that I need for my ships are in here. And then if I hit this button, check it out. So this is the universe map. And every one of these stars you can visit. And this gives you a sense of scale. And this is just one of the universes in the game. So they're all built on an algorithm, but everyone's experience is the same. So if I go to any one of these random star systems, it will have the same planets that you would see if you went to them. And they're all configured exactly the same way. So I can select any one of these stars. I can just go through here, and let's take a look at that star. And it'll tell me what's in that star system. Isn't that wild? So you can get a sense of scale here. And they have multiplayer functionality, so they've added a lot to that. So you can summon this little space station, and that station is like where you can meet up with different players to play through missions and stuff. But again, if you happen to be in the same system, you'll run into them there. And what's really neat is there are obviously online groups for the game. So if you were playing this game or on the Reddit, there's a subreddit, and at one point it set up a planet for the subreddit, and it was just filled with players. And then all of the planets in the solar systems around that star, so there was a whole group of settlements that were out there. So when you started playing in that area, you would always run into other players. It's pretty cool. So maybe I'll do a VR stream. How hard is it to get into this game? You know, this one isn't too bad. A lot of the missions kind of guide you through the process, but it is a bit involved. But what I like about it is that you set your own objectives, so you don't really, you could walk away from it for a month and it's not like you're missing anything, right? So the story is very light. I'll give you that. So now we are on the GeForce Now service here. And so what happened now is that because I'm using GeForce Now, it will sync this up. So everything we just did, so I extracted those resources. We are on a different planet. When I come back on my Steam Deck or on my gaming PC, I'll be right where I left off after Steam synchronizes. And so that's one of the things I like about GeForce Now is that I get, unfortunately, not all of my games, but I get a lot of them. And the reason is that not all the developers support this. So for example, I have my Epic account and my Steam account synced up. And I have about 200 games on my Steam account, but only 56 of them are playable here. And I think, how do I get to my list of games here? I guess you just scroll across here. So I can go to my game library. So these are games that I have in my Steam account that the developers have allowed me to play on GeForce Now. Here's another great space game, Star Wars Squadrons, also a great VR game. And Chris Allegretta is here. I was just talking about you earlier, Chris. And Chris has one. And you're testing a new one called Boosteroid. Tell me about Boosteroid. Boosteroid, I haven't heard of that one. Is this like a boot up your own computer thing? Let's see, I'm looking at the website right now. Boosteroid, cloud gaming platform, full HD, $7.50. I'll have to look into this. Boosteroid, I never even heard of that before. And no video out on this. A lot of people looking for that feature. Yeah, this is if this looks appealing to you, this game is going to consume your life. For sure. Roger P asks, would I pick the Logitech G Cloud or a Steam Deck for gaming? That's a good question. Here's what I would say. If you have a gaming PC and you're like me and you don't leave the house, this is maybe a good solution because you're able to stream your games and you can stream them from your local PC. You don't have to subscribe to one of these services. And the battery life's going to be better. So on my Steam Deck, I've been playing a lot of No Man's Sky on the Steam Deck, so I can speak from experience here. I'm getting maybe 2 hours, if that, of battery life. So this is going to do a lot better. All right, let's go load up the Xbox. And this will be another account that I have to sign into. So let me sign in with my live account. And here we go again. Hey, Chris Allegretta, looks like the spammers have come back. Chris or one of my other moderators. You know, you wonder, like, what do people sign up for this stuff? Like, what's up with that? And I've got another 20 minutes before I got to head out. But it looks like it streams pretty well. And I'm trying to remember what my password is. Hang on a second. I got to look up my... You know, I'm sure there's a better way to manage all of my passwords in two-factor now, but I'm so invested in this LastPass thing, I don't think I can ever get off of it. I think it's this is my, yeah. Okay. All right, so I got to type in my Microsoft account number. So I also have a Game Pass account. And I had initially gotten that deal where you could convert your Xbox Live or whatever it was, Gold. And so I've not had to pay a monthly fee for Game Pass since I started subscribing to it, because I paid $120 like 2.5 years ago, and that has lasted me. I think it's going to end in November. So next month is when I'm finally going to have to start paying for it. But I've been using it. And this, like we were looking at before, will allow you to sync your progress up. And so you basically connect to an Xbox in the cloud. I don't think it works with games you've purchased, though, just the ones that are available in Xbox, although they are apparently going to add, at some point, the ability, two-factor again, by the way, they're going to add the ability. There we go. I think I'm signed in. There we go. All right, let's go. All right, yada, yada, yada. Not now. Not now. Not now. Let's go. All right, so here we are. And where is my cloud? Am I in the wrong app? I thought they put everything in one app, right? My game library. Hang on, I'm just trying to remember how to do this. Here's my active friends. Jump back in. Popular friends. Popular on Xbox. Where's like the streaming option? All right, so we are. All right, so let's jump in. You know, I'll do one that's recognizable. I'll do Forza. I kind of do this on all my things here. Oh, you know, I'm in the wrong app. That's confusing. So hopefully it will remember what I logged into. Hang on a second here. Wait a second. Oh, so Xbox Cloud is its own app. So you gotta make sure you get the right app. But this thing does not like multitasking. It wants to close out the prior app and then get you into the other one. Oh yes, Rumble. Yes. By the way, I was not feeling any Rumble on GeForce Now, so let's see if we get it with this. Oh, you got to be kidding me! I got to sign in all over again. Hang on. All right, I was on the wrong app. There's an Xbox app and then there's a cloud gaming app. I thought they were the same thing, but I guess I'm wrong. All right, so hang on a second. Hang on. We gotta go through the motions here. All right. And my age now, I can't see anything anymore. So I got to go to the eye doctor. I got to get a physical. I feel fine, but like all those things that like start to not work as an older person, starting to happen to me. I can't see anything. And I work with screens all day, which is probably not helping. One thing I'm noticing with this is that I'll submit something, I'll hit the button to submit. Like for example, I hit the button to advance and it wasn't advancing. I had to close the keyboard and then, so there's like some interface gotchas. And I don't know if that's related to the launcher or just maybe just a little bug that they've got to work out. But this is the second time that, or a couple times now, I've had to do that. Okay. And that time that worked. Okay, so we're going to stay signed in. I miss Google Plus too, Kyle. I thought Google Plus was ahead of its time. I was big into Google Plus when it came out. You know what was awesome? Because they had the Hangout thing. And there was a lot of like people that I followed in podcasts and stuff that started using it, and there was an app that would track when those people went on with a Hangout. And if you got in there, they would only let 10 people in at a time. But it was fun. Like I got into, remember Guy Kawasaki? I always liked that guy. He was like the Mac evangelist back in the 90s and 80s. And he had one of those on one night. And I had a business trip to China, and I got this fake sword at a furniture shop. Long story, but I had it in the background. And he's like, "Is that a sword in your background?" Because it was just neat, because you have these random conversations. And my friends and I were meeting people all over the world. Like it was, I was doing a lot of independent media work, which I still do now, of course, but I was getting into it at that point. And so it was just fun to explore a new platform that had a lot of users, and it just kind of fizzled out. I think it was too complicated for most people to use. All right, so let's do Forza Horizon 5, and we're going to load it up with Xbox Cloud Gaming now. Yeah, my wife told me that when I go to the eye doctor, it's going to be like a revelation, that suddenly I'm going to be able to see things that I couldn't see before. And I think for me, it's been a very subtle decline in my eye quality, my vision quality. So, and Kyle's having the same issue. You know, it's funny, I was at I was helping out the school a few weeks ago with their live stream of a football game, and there was a power adapter, and I had to look at the wattage on it. And the teacher there is about my age, and we both looked at each other and we said, we can't see it. So we had to take a picture. But then we handed it to one of the kids, and they were like, oh, yeah, that's a 10-watt power adapter. Like, oh, good. I'm glad you could see something. So, all right, we've got some more chats on here. Computer Pal Incorporated. Thank you. Glad that you could stop in. So let's take a look. We're playing with Xbox Cloud Gaming. The screen looks really nice on this, I got to say. So this is our second streaming service that we've done. And I got to be out of here in like another 5 or 10 minutes because I have to walk the dog, eat some dinner, get the kids settled, then I got to go to a meeting. Busy, busy. All right. Hey, I unlocked an achievement just for loading the game up, it looks like. And so what this will do is it will sync up also with your Xbox. So if you are playing, even if you downloaded the game on your Xbox, you're going to be right where you left off. And I'm not sure when I'm supposed to start feeling the rumble, but I haven't felt any yet. All right, let's see what happens here. Yeah, I'm not feeling any rumble. And it's got a motor in it. It said it supported haptic motors, but I am not feeling a thing right now. Usually, like when I hit something, usually you feel that, right? Maybe there's a setting somewhere? I'll have to adjust that. Looks pretty good. GeForce Now has better image quality because it runs at a higher bit rate. Now, also keep in mind that I have, like, not to brag here, but I have perfect Wi-Fi. So if you are struggling with your Wi-Fi in the home, if you have a lot of people hitting your Wi-Fi all at once, you're going to see some variations in quality here. But this feels like a good Microsoft Xbox streaming experience here. And a question on the latency. Let's see here. What kind of dog do I have? I have a Siberian Husky. Yes, my kids will come down and find me if I don't come up there. Let's see here. I'm just going to take a few more questions. I don't know. There is some confusion in the sense that I think you have to know that you need it, right? Based on how they're marketing it. This is an Android gaming handheld. It'll play Android games. Oops, sorry for the blur here. But one thing that's not working is the controller rumble. So let me quit this real quick. I'm just curious if there's a setting in the device here. So if I hit the home button, let's go up to the settings here. Controller. There's only an option to remap the buttons. And I think we're up to date now. Let's see. Yep, we're up to date. So for whatever reason, I'm not getting the rumble. I may reboot it. So I'm feeling it right now. And if I go up to the top of that menu, I'm feeling that motor kick in. I talked a little bit about the speaker. I think it sounds pretty good. In fact, there are two speakers, stereo here at the bottom. So it looks and sounds pretty good. Oh, now another thing people wanted to try out was some data devices. So I do have a USB hub that has storage built into it. So let's see if that gets picked up as storage. I don't even know where I would look for that. Let's go to All Apps. Is there a file manager? Yes. And in this mode, it's interesting. It doesn't like to multitask. So it's really keeping its performance in check here. Oops. All right, so did not pick up my storage device. So it's got the internal one. Let me try plugging it back in again here and see what happens. It doesn't seem to pick that one up. Now let's plug in, I've got a USB stick here with a USB-C port on it. And it doesn't seem to work with that either. Yeah, so I don't know, this may only be a power input port. So I do have an Ethernet device I could plug in. Try that real quick. And I hear children lurking around upstairs, so my time is slowly coming to an end here. All right, so here's an Ethernet connection. Let's see, does it come on? This thing works with everything. So it is detecting a connection. So let me go back into the settings, and we'll see if it's picked it up on the network. So it's got my wireless setting here. But I'm not seeing the, so even if Ethernet is being detected, it's not giving me that as an option for connectivity. So it looks like it's sticking to the Wi-Fi. I'll have to double check on that to see. Oh, it's Android settings. Let's see. Oh, here we go. Network. So the Android stuff is buried, but it's not finding the Ethernet, because I would see that under network settings here, right? So just the wireless LAN, and it says it's not connected even though it is. Although maybe, oh, maybe that could be. Let's see. Well, there's one way to find out. I can tell you exactly if it's okay. So the Wi-Fi has disabled itself. Let me check and see in my Unify app here. The problem is I don't remember what this thing gets plugged into, so where this terminates. But I may be able to figure it. Actually, no, I will know, because it'll show up as a wired device versus a wireless one. So let's see. I'm looking through my list of devices here on my network. So these are all the wired devices. And I'm not seeing it. It's a Western Digital device. Let's go to... Yeah, it looks like it took itself off completely. Because it was showing up before as like this Android, it's called itself Android device on my list of devices here. Yeah, so it doesn't look like it supports Ethernet. So if I disconnect it, we should see that Wi-Fi. Yep, look at that. So there might be some limited data capabilities here, but it doesn't seem to be. All right, let's try this. Now that we know where the Android settings are, let's plug this back in. And let's go back to the settings. And what I'm going to do is go down to the More settings, because a lot of times it'll show up over here. Okay, so it did find this one. It says it's corrupted. So let's pull that out. So there apparently is some data capacity here, but it doesn't seem to be supporting Ethernet. And here's a SanDisk card that it is plugged in. Let's see if it sees that. It says everything is corrupted. These two should not be corrupted. It's possible that it doesn't read exFAT, which might be what this is formatted as. Let me plug this into my Mac real quick and see what it's got for a format. Let me see here. This is, yep, it's exFAT. So I bet you it doesn't read exFAT, and it probably would read this if I formatted it for something else. So I'll check that out. But yeah, I think it's an interesting market play here as far as what they are targeting, because this is an Android device that has the Google Play Store like front and center on it. But they don't want you using that. Like they are telling you, the customer that we have in mind for this are cloud gaming customers. So that's kind of what they're after here. And I could see this if you were in the market for a Steam Deck and you've got a gaming PC in your house and your intention was to play the Steam Deck in the house or away from home on a network that's pretty good. maybe, you know what I mean? Like it's kind of limited, which is why I think the price is a bit much. It is definitely lighter than the Steam Deck and smaller than the Steam Deck with a higher resolution display. And if you stream the games, of course, the image quality is going to be a lot better. And the battery life is going to be light years better. I'll play some No Man's Sky with this tonight and see how it does. But I agree with Chris Allegretta. I think it should be about $100 less, easily. If it was like $199, this would be like a great price. And I think ultimately the price is what's going to kill them here, which is a shame because this actually does its job quite well. So, and of course, it is Linux. Yeah, the Steam Deck is, I think I might do a video about this, just because it's on my mind, which is that if you look at all the hardware and software that Valve has done over the last decade, and they haven't found a lot of success with things, but this device took everything that didn't work at a level that you would consider successful in the tech industry, and they made a successful product off of everything that didn't work. The controller, the Steam OS, the Steam machines, right? Even some of the VR stuff they were messing around with, it's got elements of all of that in there. Here's what I will say. I love the thumbsticks on this. The more I use it, they feel super smooth. I need to try and I got to run. I need to try a game that uses the D-pad to get a feel for that, to see how it works. It's growing on me a little bit more. But it's just the price, I think, is going to turn people off, especially if it's like a terminal, right? Like if you're selling a terminal, it's kind of... And can I switch over to tablet mode? Yeah, let's take a look at that real quick. And then I got to run. So we'll look at the... Oops. How do I switch to tablet mode is the question, right? Let's see. WLAN, Bluetooth, airplane mode, display, theme and wallpaper. Well, I think they're leaving again. Oh, look at this. You get temperature, battery temperature. So I should be able to go until 1:30 a.m. it says. How about that? I don't know. Oh, here we go. Switch to tablet mode. So Android tablet mode, full screen navigation, gestures supported. Switch mode. So we need to cover that, I think, in the video as well. And this is going to work just like a boring old tablet. I got a lot of homework to do here, folks. Although it's not detecting my gentle touches. And I got to type in. This is the other thing. It lacks a. It would have been nice for there to have been a fingerprint at this price. They could have put a fingerprint reader on this thing, right? There's no camera, by the way. No biometrics, no camera, which is, could be a good thing. But even, devices that cost a lot less have that. All right, so let's go, we'll go load up Chrome here. And so we've got Chrome loaded up, and then I'll go in and load up Google Maps, let's say. Yeah, so it's not prompting me to quit anything. What's this? What is that? Oh, that's to switch modes. That's a quick way to get back. And then if we load up, here, let's go back to Xbox Cloud Gaming. Yeah, so it's not asking me to close the other apps. So it looks like that launcher is like enforcing one app at a time. And how would I go, what's the command to go back to the, that's that. Yeah, so I can easily switch back and forth here. Is that one. Here's Google, or yeah, so you can come back here. So I'm guessing they figured it was good to have it do one thing at a time in the gaming mode. Yeah, this would work fine for Game Boy, easily. And Chris Allegretta says, Stadia dying was such a blow to this device's usefulness. Yeah, I think if this would have been a perfect companion for that, wouldn't it? And actually what would have been even better if Stadia launched with this, they could have said, here's your handheld, right? Like, they could have said, we are the everything console. Here's your TV, here's your handheld. And check mode that the apps you closed before are still there. Probably. Bet you're right. Let's see. Yeah, even the old settings screen is still here. Look at that. I can get back to it, but not the launcher. Yep, here's 3D Mark. Everything's still there. Although I think it unloads it from memory and just puts it does it write it out to disk or something? Here's Google Play. Although see that launched from scratch, right? I bet you if I go back to 3D Mark, because remember it said it closed it before, right? Yeah, it's launching back from scratch. So it's a little better than an Amazon tablet, mostly because it has a 1080p display on it. So the display looks nicer. But at this small size, you know, there's a maximum pixel density that you can really pick up, right? So, all right, let's switch back to handheld mode now. And there we are. Now, can you move these things around here? That's the other question. How do I move this around? That's cool. You can check. I will say the launcher feels pretty nice to me. So I can add this to the quick start. What does that mean? Oh, it puts it down there. Oh, cool. All right, so let's do that, and then we'll do Xbox Cloud Gaming. I will add the quick start down here. Well, I would have liked to have been able to organize it up here. This seems to be like, here's the game, the stuff that you last loaded in the order in which it was loaded. I can't organize that. I can customize. Let's see, customize. Yeah. So I can add things down here. I would have liked this to be in reverse, actually. Like, I would prefer that with the apps that I've locked in. Although I guess over time you would be loading up a certain number. I would say the answer to that is no. I don't know if I can check the... Is there a way to check to see what it's streaming at? But yeah, generally the bit rate is low on these mobile devices, and I would expect that to be the same here. I'll try to figure that out. And this is a good point. I'm curious as to what their update, what level of updates they're committing to here, right? Because we see that a lot. Especially saw that when there was a big, right when all the Android tablets were coming out, that was a big question, right? And HP had this awesome gaming tablet. It looked awesome. Like, I really liked the way it felt. It was really well built. It had a Tegra processor. Part of me wishes I kept it just because it's so cool. And that one, similar deal. Like, it got no updates. So it was just kind of abandoned because it didn't sell well, and that was it. And Chris says, Chris has one. A little bulkier than the Switch, but the hand grips feel very comfortable. Yeah, I like this. I like the way this feels. It's more comfortable than the Steam Deck to hold, for sure. So there you go. Yeah, and I'm going to look at, we're going to look at emulation in my review. I'll load up a couple of emulators and see how it does. I'm pretty sure ETA Prime has done a whole thing on emulation with this, so you may want to check that one out too. And Guy makes a good point about the advertising. Yeah, there's no advertising that I can see on it, which is nice. But as we saw with the NVIDIA Shield, what started with no advertising is now riddled with it. So, you know, your mileage will vary, right? And Roman would prefer to stay in tablet mode. And I think, you know, I guess it depends on what you plan on doing with it. I see this for my use case as like, this is my go-to pick up and stream thing. And I'll be honest, you know, I buy these things with the intent of reviewing them and then selling them. But in this instance, I'm feeling like, you know, I might hang on to this for a little while because I've been playing my Steam Deck a lot with a game that I can stream, and I get better visual quality and better battery life with this, right? Handheld. Question, yeah, I don't know. I'm like YouTube's best kept secret, right? Why do they come to me? Maybe that's their strategy, is like go with these obscure YouTubers that will never, they won't find us if we go after these guys. Thankfully, we got Chris Allegretta in there helping out with moderation. And David, if you're up for it, I can make you a moderator too if you want. I met you in person, so I know you exist. But yeah, good stuff. But you know what I love about doing these streams is that, so for example, we've seen this with a few items that we've reviewed live recently. I hear from people that own them, and like here's a great example. Like if you're staying in your home, you know, why go through the expense and the battery life and the visual quality sacrifices when you could do 1080p to this? And I think that's exactly it. Is there a big market for that is the question. I don't know. But I think that's a very good point. And I've heard this now from a bunch of folks who own one now, just from today. So yeah, I'll see if I can do that. You know, it's hard because the screen, here's the tricky part. I can't do a display output. I guess we could capture it. But I look at it from the standpoint of how does it look to my eyes, right? You know what I'll do is I'll look at the bit rate that it's streaming at and see what we're getting. My guess would be that it's not going to be any better than a run-of-the-mill Android device. But I can definitely get an idea of the bit rate from my Unify stuff. So I should be able to figure that out. You know, my thing with the Steam Deck is I'm afraid to take it out anywhere because I don't want somebody to steal it because it's worth a lot, right? But the battery life, that's the one thing I've noticed a bit about is that if I'm playing that No Man's Sky game for an hour and a half, I'm getting low battery warnings on it. But at the same time, I can't play No Man's Sky on a plane with this, right? So it's kind of a varying thing. NASA website. Yeah, we can visit a website real quick on it, and then I got to run. So we'll go to Chrome here, and we'll go to NASA. Well, there you go. Browse the web. And you know, it's your standard Android. Look how dusty that is, huh? Yeah, but it works pretty well. It looks good. And yeah, some games just don't work well in handheld anyhow, right? And I have a very similar feeling about the Switch. I love my Switch. So I've played a lot of games on the Switch. And my kids like to play the Switch on the TV, so we get it's like a twofer, right? Yeah, I think we're getting to the stage where with all this technology, there's going to be something that works for everyone, right? So, and I think what I like about this is that if you're not leaving the house all that often, or your use case is playing on the couch, this is going to, you know, do it better than the Steam Deck would, in my opinion, for games in general. You know, because you can stream from your gaming PC if you have one, right? There's all these layers here. So like, what's the use case? Well, the use case is I have a gaming PC and I like to play games on my couch. If that's the case, this might work for you. If your use case is I leave the house a lot and I want to play my games on the road, the Steam Deck obviously is going to be better. And the Steam Deck is not all that, well, I guess it's maybe $300 more, but it's still, the price gap is not as significant as you might think for what amounts to a run-of-the-mill Android device. And I wonder if they went with a different chip, like if they did a Rock chip or something other than a Snapdragon, if that's what's driving some of the price is the Snapdragon. I'm not sure. But the price does seem high to me. So there you go. All right. Well, I think this was a very helpful stream. So I'm going to keep working on this tonight. My goal is to shoot this tomorrow because I've got a pile. I got so much stuff coming in, it's crazy. And it's not like expensive stuff, but things that I know you're going to be interested in. So over the weekend, we lit up with fire, like literally, that fireproof NAS. So that's going to be Wednesday's video. The fire department let us bring the thing over for their training the other day, which was great. So that's going to be fun. So we got that coming up. Tonight I've got a weekly wrap-up, just a little channel update. Tomorrow is a Synology tutorial video on their cloud backup. This I'm hoping to get shot tomorrow. Wednesday I'm totally out of pocket because I got to drive kids around all day. They have a half day at school. And I agree with Chris Allegretta. Steam Deck 2 is going to be awesome because they really hit the mark quite well on this first iteration. And I think they're going to do a lot on the second go around. And so hopefully to shoot this tomorrow. Wednesday I'm going to probably not be able, I may be able to do a stream on Wednesday. That new Fire TV comes in tomorrow, so I'm going to try to get this done and stream with that. Maybe we'll do the Fire TV on Wednesday. Oh, we'll figure it out. But we're getting there. I got so much. It's funny, I had nothing for a while, and now I'm just overloaded. I'm looking at this big pile of stuff. I'm like, where do I start? And then the shiny object comes in. It's like, oh, got to do this now. So, and part of it is that I got to like move this stuff because I'm paying for a lot of it. So, you know, I gotta review it, sell it, get to the next thing. Although I'm thinking like this one, I might want to hold on to this for a while because I kind of like. Yeah, the in-home PC streaming will be interesting too. What I found with GeForce Now, if your game supports it, there's no point in booting up your PC. You could actually save yourself a lot of money with GeForce Now if your intention is to mostly go handheld, because it works great and it's good stuff. All right, jiggling keys. Now it seems like it's pretty good here. All right, but we're getting there. Laptop pile. Yes, I have a pile of laptops that are on loan. I've got Lenovo's, HP's, and Dell's right over there. I'm looking at them, and they keep looking at me. And Jake has done all the work on them, but I just need time to shoot it, right? And it's and plus there's like things that I like to look at separately because he'll see something and then I'll see something else. So it's one of those things. All right. Got to run, but thank you all for tuning in, and be on the lookout for this review. Again, tomorrow is a Synology, so tonight is a channel update. Oh, the device is the jingling key when you, oh, got it. Yes, that's right, the jingling key. I call it the shiny object. But tonight is the weekly wrap-up. I just have an update on the channel. We're going to do I actually have a good strategy for selling stuff now with that whatnot thing, so I'll talk about that tonight. And what else would I have? And then I've got the fireproof, so tonight is the update. Tuesday is the Synology tutorial on cloud backup, which is kind of neat. I was really impressed with it. I hadn't played with it before I did the tutorial, so it's really cool once you set it up. And then Wednesday, we're gonna show the results of lighting that NAS on fire with the fire department. That was fun. And already one of the firefighters was like, well, we got it up to a certain temperature, but I think we could probably get more if we put it in a barbecue. So we might, I do have another one of those things. So we might try to up the temperature a bit. But we did, what we did is, so here was the deal with the fire. They were doing a class 1 burn, which was wood basically, wood and straw. So what we did, instead of just doing one round, they had 3 rounds of fire training where they went in and lit the fire, let it get to a temperature, and then put it out. So we essentially got about an hour of burn time on the NAS, but at a lower temperature than what it's rated for. So it's rated for like 1500 degrees. We got up to about 700 degrees, but we did it 3 times with cool down and heat up. So I think we had a good test. And also I looked at what some of the other tests were on this. So Linus Tech Tips, for example, did 20 minutes at about 800 degrees because he put his in the fire. So ours is a little different than his test, but I think it's good because it shows a couple of different scenarios. Ed Horn, thank you for the super chat. Much appreciated. Thank you very much. This was a fun show. I enjoyed doing this too. I always like doing these streams. Clifford, hello there. And I'm about to take off, so we are heading out. But thanks for stopping by. Microbiter, thank you for stopping by. Heck Boogie, lots of kind words from all of you. And yeah, I will have a great day. Got more to do. I got a meeting tonight. I'm going until about 8 or 9 tonight, but it's good. And then Kyle was talking about what the jiggling key meant. Yeah, a little different saying. Here in the US, it's like shiny object, is what I like to say. And yeah, we're not going to burn the Kindle Fire. No unauthorized burning of things that are not marketed to be burned. And David's wife has a class 1 burn this weekend. Cool. Yeah, it gets hot. And you know, it was fun to watch the training because what they do is they pump. So they have like a little house they built with storage containers. So the burn room is at the far end, and they go in on the other side. And it looks like it's set up like a house inside where they have to pass through doors. And it is completely, they fill it up with smoke so they can't see anything, and they have to use their breathing apparatus. And so they've got to get close to the fire. They can feel the heat from it. And then they have to bring the temperature down before they can go in to put it out. So they do like an overhead spray to tamp down the fire, bring the temperature down, and they go in. And the NAS was in there the whole time. So we didn't cover a lot of the fire extinguishing directly because we were not able to go in with them because my phone would have melted anyhow. But it was cool. I think it'll be good. I mean, it was good. We had a good run, and it was really appreciative of the fire department. So, Red Hornet, glad you found it interesting. I'm glad I did too. So, or you did too. I enjoyed looking at this. So we're going to come back with this. You'll see this review in a couple days. All right. All right. I got to run. The kids just got back. They left and came back already. So it looks like I am on duty now for dad stuff. I'll talk to you in a little bit. Have a good night. Bye bye.